Hello students. Today we are going to discuss about inheritance. We have also discussed about the inheritance in our previous class. But today we are going to discuss inheritance briefly. As you know that it is a process by which one class can acquire the properties of another class. It supports the concept of hierarchical classification. A class whose properties are inherited is treated as superclass in the parent class or base class. Class to which it gets the properties are treated as derived class or child class or subclass. So the subclass is having the properties of base class with its own features. Means the child class will get the properties of parent class as well as the properties of himself. This concept of inheritance provides the reusability. It means that we can write the code once and can use at many places. We can add new features to an existing class without modifying it. As you can see this diagram, the upper part is known as the base class and lower part is known as the derived class. Now we will going to discuss about overloading. What is overloading? Overloading allows objects to have different meaning depending upon context. We have two types of overloading, that is operator overloading and functional overloading. In operator overloading, it's sometimes termed as operator ad hoc polymorphism because it is a specific case of polymorphism where different operators have different implementations depending on their arguments. Operators overloading is generally defined by a programming language or both. In operator overloading, it is like a syntactic sugar which is used and it allows programming using notations nearer to the target domain. For example, scientific computing where it allows computing representations of mathematical objects to be manipulated with same syntax on a paper. It doesn't change any expressive power of a language. It can be emulated using function calls. In operator overloading, it is an usual assumption that the operators are higher precedence than other operators. Like in addition is a binary operations, which means it has two operands. In C++, the argument is being passed are the operands and the object is returned as the value. The operation could also be defined as a class method replacing by the hidden arguments. So there are different types of operators available in our life, like unary operator, binary operator and ternary operator. Now let us go to the function overloading. Function overloading is nothing but it is a method overloading. It is a ability to create multiple functions with the same name with different implementations. Calls to an overloaded function will return a specific implementation of function appropriate to the context of the call, allowing function call to perform different tasks depending on context. For example, doTask and doTask object O are overloaded functions. An object must be passed as a parameter, whereas the former does not require a parameter. In doTask, we cannot able to pass the parameter, but in different other methods we can able to perform or pass the parameter. A common error would be assigned to to default value to the object in second function. And another example is print function that execute different actions based on whether it's printing text or photos by giving different types of arguments inside the print function. Now we will learn about what are the rules in function overloading. The function name, some of the rules of the function overloading are: the same function name is used for more than one function definition. The functions must differ either by the arity or the types of their parameter. It is a classification of static polymorphism in which a function call is resolved using some best match algorithm, where the particular functions to call is resolved by finding the best match of the formal parameter types with the actual parameter. Function overloading is usually associated with statically typed programming languages that enforce type checking in function calls. An overloaded function is really just a set of different functions that happen to have the same name, the determination of which the function to use for a particular call is resolved at compile time. In Java, function overloading is also known as compile time polymorphism and static polymorphism. Function overloading should not be confused with forms of polymorphism, where the choice is made at runtime. Example, through virtual functions instead of static functions. Now we are going to discuss about polymorphism. What is polymorphism? Polymorphism is an ability of an operator or function to take multiple forms. There are different types of polymorphism which are discussed previously, that is operator overloading and functional overloading. In polymorphism, it has two types of polymorphism, that is compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. In compile time polymorphism, the compiler is able to select the appropriate functions for a particular call at compile time. In OOPS, it is possible to use one function name for different purpose. This type of polymorphism is called function overloading, as you know we have discussed in our previous slide. And in runtime polymorphism, the compiler selects the appropriate function to call while the program is running or executing. As you can see in this diagram, it is just draw is a function having a shape. It is a shape of having a draw function. By using draw function, we can able to draw different types of shapes. We can able to draw triangle, we can able to draw rectangle, and we can able to draw circle. From this, you can conclude that it is a type of function which is used to perform three different tasks. Means it can be used for drawing a triangle, and it can be used for drawing a rectangle, and it can be used for drawing a circle. Now we will discuss about dynamic binding and message passing. What is dynamic binding? The binding is the process of connecting one program to another. In dynamic binding, it is the linking to the procedure call to a specific sequence of code or functions at runtime or during the execution of program. But in message passing, processing is done by sending messages to objects. A message for an object is request for execution of procedure. A message passing involves specifying the name of object and the name of functions and the information to be sent. In message passing, we can be able to pass messages from one class to another class by using objects. for today, these are the things we have discussed, and in our next class we will going to discuss more about object oriented programming. Thank you.